Hi, welcome back to Wild Speculations. I'm Daniel.
I'm Scott.
This week we talk about Campaign 2, Episode 52, Feral Business.
Yep.
I just wonder who's going to be sleeping with Rebecca de Mornay on the bus.
Oh. Yeah.
But anyway, also, I endorse Liam
Ditto.
for D&D Beyond President. We also had a new overlay for them,
Yeah.
and a lot of new stuff. And
it's the new channel.
yes, and I think there was a different energy.
Yeah.
In the episode. I tried to think about how to pin it down, but I couldn't think of a way to articulate it correctly. But everything did feel different.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and almost immediately off the bat, we were wrong.
Yeah.
Gozel, Gozlu, can't remember how to say his name. Does serve the Luxon.
Gluzo.
Yeah. Gluzo, that's right, because it's like Bluto from Labyrinth. That's how I was remembering it before.
But
would
yeah,
be great. A bugbear druid that talks to rocks.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's off topic. That's a future character for me.
Yeah, because now I'm thinking of a new subclass or a spell mix.
Stonecaller.
Yeah. Okay.
That'll be the next subclass special we do.
Yeah. So yeah.
And then of course, while we're talking to him, we get how to care for a tattoo, the D&D how to.
Let's rub some dirt on it.
Yeah. No. Do you like that Travis mentioned Aquaphor? That's what I use on my tattoos. That's some good stuff. We are not sponsored.
And Jester doesn't want the tattoo.
She doesn't want a regular tattoo.
Okay, yeah. The magic one, they definitely want that one.
The magic one, once they have the stuff for the magic one and they see Orly again, she will get a tattoo.
Yeah, true. But I think that's more for the attribute boost and
that's more a player thing than a yeah.
We also got in conversation that, or at least Caleb said, whether it's true or not, that he took polymorph because he wants to help Not, and that's the first step. Do you think that's true, or do you think that was always on his list?
That's a tough one because eventually, as a transmuter, you get it.
Well,
it's part of the subclass. So I don't think it was originally part of his spell list necessarily. But I don't think it's not. It may have been thrown in there, but I mean, eventually, and I think it's the next level. He gets something. He gets to cast polymorph once on himself without expending the spell slot and stuff per day. That's part of the transmuter subclass. He gets it added to his known spells, and he gets to cast on himself once a day without using a spell slot or components. That's part of that subclass. So he was eventually going to get it anyway. I don't think it was on his list to pick up, but it may have been one of the spells he found in one of those spell books.
Well, I think it was definitely on his list to pick up in the sense that it's a transmutation spell, and it's one of the best ones.
And see, I think...
Well, I mean, from a player perspective.
That could be, but also from a player's perspective, he's going to get it anyway. Why pick it up when you're going to get it anyway? Other than you get it, maybe a level or two early.
True.
Why not get a couple other spells? Because you're going to get that one anyway.
Fair.
So I think it's one of them that he found. And he's like, well, I can transcribe it into my book. And I've got a roleplay reason for wanting that spell.
Yeah, it's true.
So.
And then he breaks his campaign pledge. And they break the game.
Oh.
Practically immediately. By using polymorph to change Bo into a male tiefling. Which, strictly speaking, is not legal. But Liam prefaced his action with, "I'm a transmutation master. I think I could do this."
Yeah.
And does it break anything in an actual sense? No.
Yeah.
He casts a 4th level spell to do what a 1st level spell could do. In the sense that if they want Bo to look like a tiefling, disguise self, 1st level spell.
Right.
I mean, she is a tiefling.
Well, it's
the use of polymorph.
It's an upgraded disguise self.
Yeah.
Because it's not illusion.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And of course, the purple one, Long May He Reign, comes back.
Yeah, that was...
Because, Caleb's only seen one guy's tiefling.
Yeah. One dude's tiefling. Yeah.
Or as Liam said, long and wide may he reign. There was a lot of those... Oh, Sam. There was a lot of those kind of jokes.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to what the energy around the table was different. I mean, they do that a little bit sometimes, but this episode was heavy with it.
I think they're a little more free to do that.
Yeah.
Because they're answerable to themselves and not to themselves and to Geek and Sundry.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. This is the most excited Travis has ever been for a shopping episode.
Yeah. Yeah. He didn't, leave town and go off on his own for a week.
Yeah.
Which is what he did.
Or roll his eyes and just kind
of... yeah.
I mean, it technically wasn't a shopping episode, but it also kind of was.
Yeah. I mean...
The whole point of them
Most of it was all in a deal to get some animals, which...
Yeah.
Speaking with... Are they starting a traveling zoo?
Laura has her way, yeah.
They're getting these beasts. They still have a couple horses back in the Empire. They have a blink dog. They have a weasel. They had an owl.
Well, if Matt was as hard-nosed as Sam, they would have one less weasel.
Yes.
And possibly one less blink dog if they had been thinking about where the blink dog was. Although the blink dog did take the stinking cloud damage.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, it was odd seeing Travis excited for a shopping episode and actually making the shopping list.
Yeah.
One thing that I thought was an interesting line was from Taliesin when they're debating whether or not disguise self polymorph, who's going to get polymorph. Mm-hmm. And he says to Caleb, I feel like physical people need to be comfortable in their bodies, whereas you're all up here.
Okay.
I thought that was interesting.
I thought he said they were comfortable in their bodies.
No, that they needed to be.
Okay. Well, was that a jab at Ford? Because that was right after they talked about his insecurities.
I don't think so. I think it was just an interesting way to view the polymorph spell, and especially after the several conversations with Not and her body dysmorphia. It was an interesting almost footnote that I don't think probably anybody else probably even noticed, but to me it was an interesting thing.
See, to me it was right on the hills of talking about, Ford, he's small. I think you're a good size, Ford. And and then he's like, Caleb's like, what are you, 6'1", 6 foot? Let's stop talking about me now. And I think that's a throwback to why he files his tusks and then being picked on as a child. And
I think it might be retroactively that.
Okay.
But I think Travis's idea of Ford is that Ford is not so dissimilar from Groff physically. Okay. Even though his stats are totally different. But I think that's because Travis is putting himself.
Well, that was the next thing Ford. I was going to say.
Like,
I think
he's one of the bigger of the guys.
Well, what it reminds me of, though, is if you remember his Behind the Sheets episode about when he had that growth spurt and became super big, but he was like thin, and they were like, "Come on, get into sports," and kind of that awkwardness he said he felt.
Yeah,
I think he's portraying that through Ford, or he's reaching back to that for his betrayal of Ford.
I can see that.
So, which is great. I mean, I use stuff from my life in, my characters too. It helps make the character more real.
Yeah.
Because you know where that's coming from.
And
and sometimes you do it subconsciously because you're learning about yourself.
Yeah. Then they're grilling Gluzo about how not to be tourists, including the pink fanny pack.
Yes.
Now, they got worried, and this is an interesting. I don't want to say trick, but it's an important tool to keep in your toolbox if you're a DM.
Okay.
And that is, Matt tends to give the players a zone of privacy, as it were,
right,
from his NPCs. But also, as we see later in the episode, maybe not.
Yeah.
But because he tells them that Gluzo is walking away.
Yeah. And
then they start talking, and then they're like, "Oh wait, did we just look at this with him and we're talking about this?" And they're like, "Oh," and Matt says, "Oh, he's like 90 feet away," and they're like, "Oh shit!" So then they ran after they cast all of their spells.
Yeah.
So. And one of my Beauregard moments was when she is like, I kind of like how much you guys are using the word ruckus.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if this was a Sesame Street episode, ruckus would have been the word of the day.
Right.
Brought to you by the number 3, I think, this episode. But one of the things getting back to what we were wrong about.
Yeah, the Luxon.
The tower that they are told to go to
Mm-hmm.
is the Aurora Hold.
Yes.
And I did a little bit of looking because I was like, Lux is connected to light. I don't know what exactly it is. Like, before I did any research, I was like,
Right.
Lux is connected to light.
Yes.
And it is actually the measurement term for luminosity.
Yeah.
So the little light meters that they have on set,
Yeah.
it's measuring lux.
Yeah. But it's from, and I've drawn a blank, I knew, but lux was, that's used for that because it's a word in a dead language, and I can't remember which one, for light.
Yeah. I think it's Latin.
It's what I wanted to say, but I wasn't 100%. So I was like 60%, so I'm like, I'm not going to say that.
Lucifer is from the Greek, I think.
Right.
And that means light bringer.
Right.
So, yeah. Which is why I think for our speculation this episode, I think we might go around this point. Is the Luxon evil? Because that's what I wanted to talk to you about tonight. And I don't know necessarily that the Luxon is evil.
I think the Luxon is neutral.
Okay.
I think it's better than its counterparts, per se. Counterparts being the worm and Ukatoa. But it's still like, it's got to have, I think it's got to have something, like some taint in it, because it is the creation or offspring, if you will, of one of the betrayer gods.
Do we know that?
I'm pretty sure all three of those weren't they?
We have not had that confirmed for us.
Okay.
The only thing we know for sure is that they were created before the Divergence and left on this side of the Divine Gate.
That's true.
And the Empire...
Which is an interesting proposition, because the Drow have abandoned Lolth for the Luxon.
Yeah, and that's why I say...
So have the Drow been redeemed in Exandria? And we haven't seen any
in Wilde
necessary...
specifically.
Yeah.
Because Taldore has... They all went crazy.
Yeah. We haven't seen a lot of, like, really, really evil in Drow yet.
No.
You know. We haven't seen the arrogance. No more so than any other elf.
That's true.
Which they are known for being even more arrogant, you know?
I'll give you that.
Because they even look down on the other elves.
Yeah.
While we do see somewhat of a matriarchal society, it's not as strict.
Yeah. We don't see the Drow walking through the streets beating people with whips and stuff.
Right. We also don't see men that aren't of noble houses, you know. We see men that aren't of noble houses able to walk freely and speak. And,
yeah. Well, and one of them is Umavi Ascendant.
Exactly.
A male non-elf. Which points to some level of egalitarianism.
Yeah. So there's a lot of the Drow tropes that are noticeably missing.
Yeah. And that gets to what I think Matt's sort of playing with this campaign, and the players are super either leaning into it knowingly or unknowingly, or even have given Matt more confidence to play with that gray area that he introduced early in the campaign about, is the Empire good or evil?
Yeah.
Because, you know, they control religion. There's no religious freedom. There's, you know, a dark society of mages that control everything.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of dystopian themes within the Empire. And now as we're getting more into Xhorhas, where we traditionally would have thought there'd be this dystopian evil hierarchical society, we're not necessarily seeing.
Yeah.
And we're seeing the players falling in love with Jorhas, basically.
Yeah.
The tortoises,
Mm-hmm.
the Minotaur, and even before that, they were talking about betraying the Empire to Jorhas.
Yeah.
And now
they're posed with a perfect opportunity to do so in that spy job.
Yeah. And I think that's also one of the reasons why Matt made that an option.
Yeah, I think so too.
Is to test them with
But
that.
before we get to that,
Yeah.
let's talk about some of the other things. You mentioned the Minotaur.
Yes.
The nice black Minotaur, which, I mean, first of all, they're here to save Yessa. Oh, I mean, 50-50 on his survival, and this guy is hot. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
that was
know.
a funny line. Yeah.
So yeah, beautiful Minotaurs.
Yeah. And not like virtually the whole table
Yeah,
was
no.
on his description and everything, which I thought was interesting. So, how long till they have a guest star who comes in and plays a Minotaur?
What are the next two?
I only asked that because I'm playing a Minotaur right now.
If we're gonna if we're gonna speculate on guest stars, who do you think, either as the guest star player or bring in what kind of person they're going to bring in, is going to be the guest panelist at TravelerCon? Because that's a prime scene for a guest star. You know what I mean?
Yes. And my wish list that just popped into my head, Pat Rothfuss.
I figured you would.
And I only say that because Kara was such a big deal last campaign.
Yeah.
And Pat's familiar with the cleric.
Yeah.
And I think he could do some interesting things based upon the children's book that he wrote.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on the name of it. Princess and the something. You can find it on YouTube. Him reading it at cons. An evening with Patrick Rothfuss. Search that, and there's a couple of them that he reads it at. But it's all that book, the text and the pictures. It's all there if you're paying attention.
Okay.
And when you get to the twist, and yeah, watching him read it live and then talking about it is fun. So I think he could do a lot of interesting alternate take on the Traveler as a trickster deity.
Okay. Fair enough. Main strike against him is they seem to be specifically trained not to bring in guest stars from campaign 1.
Yes, which is why my second name is more likely.
Okay.
In your situation, and that's Babs.
Okay.
Tar, the artist who does Pub Draw. And only because to play into Jester's envy of these other Traveler clerics, to have an artist on set who goes, oh yeah, I go and I draw this, rather than like Laura has to describe what she's drawing. The artist just goes, I draw that.
Yeah. Poor Laura.
Now, I watched Laura's episode of Pub Draw.
Okay.
And she did really good. And Sam did really good when they had him on too. Like, it was pretty amazing.
I haven't watched an episode yet, so love that.
I've been trying to get my daughter to watch it, but she's only here once a month. So, yeah.
And then, so they go shopping for some mounts for while they're here.
Yep.
And much like Pumat Sol is the Gilmore of this campaign, we meet the victor of this campaign.
Did we?
The crazy, oddish, high-pitched voice merchant who lost limbs to his profession.
Okay, unpopular opinion time.
Okay.
I didn't get Zorth. I did not like the player's reaction to me was almost out of left field. To me, like
it
I was
felt
like,
over. What? It felt over exaggerated to me as well. But I just chalked him up to the new victor.
And see, it's also not the new Victor because Victor was on the spot, adrenaline flowing through Matt's veins. On thinking up, he had Zorth plant.
Okay.
So I don't necessarily. I can't count him as Victor. I mean, he was pretty flamboyant, and yes, he lost limbs in his profession, and Matt had a great characterization. But Matt also had a great characterization with Orly.
Yeah.
And with many of the NPCs that he brings in. I think more even necessarily this campaign than last campaign.
Yeah.
I think he's doing more this one.
Mm-hmm.
With stretching his vocal range and animation behind the screen. But yeah, I was like, oh yeah, a goblin beastmaster lost his limbs. Okay, yeah, this all sort of makes sense. I don't know. Maybe it's Matt knows his players for sure.
Yeah,
and this elicited a massive response from them.
Yeah,
so much so that they almost couldn't go on. And this is why Sam is my MVP for this episode. Because Sam kept it on track.
Yeah.
And kept things going. Now, was that good in the sense that the others couldn't just get it out of their system?
Yeah.
The laughing? Where they had to try to suppress it so the scene could continue? Because Sam was doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't get it. My unpopular opinion, and
yeah.
I know it's an unpopular. So, and but
well, like I said, I was, I mean, not that I don't. Okay, so I didn't think it was a standout character. Not that I don't think Matt didn't do a standout job.
Oh, yeah.
Matt does a great job with his characters. For me, I chalked it up to just, much more exaggerated, but the same. I felt the same kind of vibe as Victor. Not that Victor wasn't off the cuff and this one was planned, but that was what I got out of it. Their response, a little more over the top, but they were very excited and when they met every time they ran into Victor. So I just chalked it up to that.
Well, I could definitely see Matt channeling some of Victor.
So,
because when he characterized Victor from Talks Machnia episodes, when he was thinking of Victor on the spot, he's like, "What kind of guy is going to be working with black powder?"
Right.
And he sort of took that and built it immediately. And right. I think for him building his goblin, what kind of goblin is going to be?
Well, and I think, the other side of that is I think that a lot of the characters in NPCs in campaign 2 are more thought out than off the cuff as a general rule. Because I mean, in campaign 1, even Gilmore was off the cuff initially, and then had to be expounded because of how much they liked him and were wanted to go back and meet him. So I think that campaign 1 was introducing a lot of them to D&D and kind of especially pre-stream.
Well, it moved from a one-shot to a campaign that met irregularly,
and the world growing through that. Yeah, because it wasn't I mean, I'm sure he had things for a world previously, but he kind of he talked about as they went, the world kind of grew around. So a lot of that was off the cuff, whereas now he's got more of the world, he's got a lot of the stuff, so a lot of more stuff is planned out. Yeah. So.
And he's got writers he can bounce things off of now. Yeah. Working with them.
And D&D editors.
Yeah, that too.
I mean, he is canon in Forgotten Realms now, as Matt Mercer is. Yes. So there's obviously a relationship there.
Yeah. Which also means he could insert Matt Mercer into Tal'Dorei.
Yes.
That might be the next Battle Royale.
Oh, okay.
Where he had Matt Colville as the string puller last time. Maybe it'll be Matt Mercer this time.
Maybe. But, and we were foreshadowed that there's a lot of bartering rather than gold trade. Yeah. And they get a deal. They whittle out a deal for 600 in the Dick statue if they go and figure out why this, underground place,
well, to clear it.
To clear it, because something is...
The why was not even discussed. They could have killed those things and left and got their discount.
Yep. Here's the thing, though. The Sushash... It's a specific thing, and they're demons of Yinagu that he gives to Knowles, who as a symbol of favor.
Oh, okay.
So these we've had Knowles for a long time, since Allfield. Now we see Knoll demons, Knoll related demons. And that got me thinking, in looking back, hunger has been a big sub-theme, actually. To consume for Forge Patron. The worms destroying the land, eating the land. The gnolls, the constant hunger of gnolls.
Yeah.
Is, and now we've got demon rips. Is this like a minor subplot, or is this feeding into the bigger plot? I mean, you could even argue the destruction of the land and the poisoning of the land. Something is hungry and draining the life from them.
Yeah. Well, and the Tarask is the ultimate eater of the world.
Exactly. And so if we're right about that,
yeah,
is this all building up? Is this all part of that?
Yeah, I think so.
So,
yeah, sure. The tortoises.
Yes.
I kind of as Matt was describing them, I'm like, how would you stat that? Gargantuan size. Like, I started doing all these things in my head. But the other thing that I thought about was, another Avatar Last Airbender reference.
Okay.
The lion turtle.
Yeah.
And basically, especially, even more, the Legend of Korra. Where humans lived on the back of lion turtles. Which also gets into some Hopi and the Navajo creation myths.
Yeah.
That the world is born on kind of a turtle. Or on a turtle's back.
And also some Far East ones, too.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. But the maintenance.
I love how I love how that turned into almost like buying a yacht.
Yeah.
Because that's basically the conversations that you always get around people buying a yacht or a houseboat and stuff like that. Was equated to the turtle, but they never thought about that with the pirate ship.
Right.
But yeah, they make a plan. It's one that Caleb and Not have used before.
Yes, Fireline.
Yep.
A callback to that list of scams that they created for their shared backstory.
And it almost doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Which I thought was...
Thanks to initiative rolls.
No. And Matt was very kind to let it go as far as it did.
Yeah.
Because, especially on my rewatch, I could see Matt thinking, Caduceus has a light spell going.
Mm-hmm.
The door is open.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he was sort of doing the math of, well, they have this cool plan. I should let them at least get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Before I pull the rug out from under them. Because realistically, after banging on the door and then opening it,
yeah,
it should have started right then.
Yeah.
So Matt was very kind in giving them that space to play with. And then got down to initiative. I repeated this again and again. I probably will continue to repeat it as a refrain. Combat actions are roleplay choices. And we had both sentinels move into the room, opposite sides of that line, and hold.
Yep.
And I was like, that's awesome. We also have, and I think it's more Laura and less Jester, but her frustration in the timing of how she's casting spells, guiding bolt after she's already attacked with her spiritual weapon that she cast last turn. She's like, well, I guess I'll just help somebody else. And I think in some ways that's sort of core to Jester.
Yeah.
Even though I don't necessarily think she's selfish. And I think this is Laura, the player.
Okay.
Because with Vex, a lot of her spells were self-buffing.
Yeah.
Buffing her damage, buffing her ability to track things. And Jester is still very much in that vein. In her spell choices and how she plays her.
Yeah.
Yes, she can heal, and if it's needed, she will. And it's needed less now that Caduceus is here.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I love that tension in Laura.
Yeah.
During the fight.
Yeah.
And we see that she also learned something from the last fight that they were in. Don't run in.
Yeah.
Leave that to Bo, Yasha, and to a certain extent Ford.
Yep.
We also, for the first time, I think the first time, see Not disengage at the beginning of the move to move past the enemies and get behind them.
Yep.
And I thought that was great, and I look forward to seeing more of that, because now that opens up their strategies a little more.
Yeah.
Where before Not has been sort of skirting the outside, much like Caleb. She's been in the same space as Caleb almost.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Sam just feels maybe a little more comfortable with the number of hit points that Not has, that he's willing to risk that maneuver, or if he's comfortable enough with Caleb's hit points that he's willing to risk Not a little more in getting in there.
Yeah.
Because with Crossbow Master, she doesn't have to stay at range.
Yeah.
So, and I think we will see Not pick up Sharpshooter. Sam mentioned being a sharpshooter in their interview.
Yeah, and that was an interesting interview.
And, yeah. And 2 episodes ago, I think, might have been episode 51, Taliesin was he thought Not had sharpshooter already.
Yeah, because he was talking about the ignoring the cover and
it was 51. It was I think I've inserted an episode in my memory because I watched The Search for Grog.
Okay. So it was 2 episodes ago that you watched.
Yes.
Interesting. Also, an interesting shift from last campaign is, and I think it's why Taliesin is having trouble with the. Is Matt didn't give everybody the spell driver feat at level 8 like he did in the last campaign.
Yeah.
Everyone had it in the last campaign.
I think Caduceus takes it at 12.
Possibly.
I think what Taliesin wants to do on his turns so often revolves around the ability to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Because to be able to do Bane and Healing Word in a turn for his play style, for what he wants to do, is huge.
Yep.
So I think we're going to see him pick that up at 12th level.
I can see that. And, I think just like when we talked about the dual focused feat, I think Spell Driver is another one that was inspired because of Tiberius.
Yes. For sure.
I think those 2 spells or feats were created for Tiberius, and he just gave them to everybody.
Yeah.
The spell driver, not the dual focus, but the spell driver. Yeah. He was just like, okay, I'll let you guys do this.
Yeah. Well, and from a certain point of view, your monsters are going to die faster. In a streaming context, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
Or when you have that many players, it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
Because otherwise your combats are going to take 50 minutes.
Right.
And if the players want to burn through their resources,
all the better for the DM.
Yeah. Okay, you want to burn yourself out in this fight? I got 3 more planned tonight.
Yeah. Just like in the Monday game with the semi-gritty healing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have them interviewed, and we get Not in Jester. I made the comment to you, which one is Jessica Jones?
Yes.
And you said...
I immediately said, not as Jessica Jones, Jester is Patsy.
Yeah.
Patsy Walker.
And when I first thought of that comparison, I was like, is it a fair comparison? And I tried to think about Heroes for Hire.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that works at all. That might be Yasha and Bo. Okay, yeah, no, that's Yasha and Bo.
Yeah, that's Power Man Iron Fist right there. Yasha is Luke Cage and Marisha is Bo is Danny Rand.
Yep. Oh, speaking of them, Bo flirted with Yasha of a
chasing
sort.
Some tail.
Of a sort. there was a reaction that we hadn't had from the players before. I think a conversation was had either before the 100th episode of Talks or after the 100th episode of Talks. Because there was a question asked and Brian made the comment or the observation that Travis has played. The question was raised, has Travis played Yasha more than...
Yeah. Well, I think the statement that you're hinging this on, and it's what I thought of, is when Ashley said, I trust him with the character choices. If he does it, it's fine. She basically gave Travis permission to do the flirting and to have that be counted as what Yasha is doing. Because before they were like, well, we're not really counting that because it's Travis and not Ashley.
Yeah.
And she gave him carte blanche to do whatever roleplay wise.
Fair. But part of that I think is because in those early episodes, she was kind of flirting with Bo.
Oh yeah, she definitely was. Although, and like, it got flipped to Yasha and Bo so quick because if you remember back, episode 1, and I still get hung up on this because I thought it was going to be a thing in episode 1, when she carries Bo, she makes a comment about Jester's looks, and Bo says, yeah, go for it, or something like that. And I was like, okay, Yasha and Jester are going to be a thing. And then all of a sudden, gets flipped around, and Yasha and Bo are the thing.
Well, that's because Jester only had eyes for 4.
Well, yeah, but like, but I remember like everyone's being like, oh, Yasha and Bo, after that first episode on the internet. I was like, did I miss something? Yasha like had eyes, and I went back and I rewatched, and yep, it was a comment about Yasha, and it just got flipped around. And not that I don't love it, and I'm like all for it, but I was just like, that still gets to me. I'm like, she liked Jester at first.
Yeah. But that's also not an uncommon thing.
No, that's true. But you know what I mean, though? Yeah. I just keep thinking back. I was like, what could have been?
Yeah. So, last few minutes, 12 minutes, want to get into some more speculation, if we can, specifically, with what we expect in the next episode. We had the offer for 5,000 gold for a spy in the north. What'd she call it? North. I'm blanking on the name of the neighborhood. But anyway, it's
who's sending information to the Empire.
Yeah. What do you think? How do you think they know that? Because I've been sort of racking my brain. How do you know they're sending a message out of that area and you don't know who it is? I mean, there are the potential of a couple divination spells that could give you hints. Augury is one.
Yeah,
Detect magic is possible.
I'm kind of thinking it's something along those lines, like, when people send wires and stuff, you may know, like, oh, the signal is coming from this place, but we don't know who in this place is sending it.
Okay. That's fair. Yeah, something about that job just screams trap to me.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
Now, when Bo was like, I kind of want to do this, I don't know if it's because they want to turn the person in for money, but it's also possible that they find out who the spy is, tell them, hey, they're onto you. We need to offer proof of your death, and if we do, you can skedaddle or get out of here. So they will help that spy escape or get deeper into the Empire, Jorhas,
Yeah.
And collects $5,000
Okay.
for their trouble, and the 10,000 gold for the source of the demons.
Right.
Okay, so what do you think? Do they do the spy thing, and do they actually capture or kill the spy, and actually turn them over to the Jorhasians?
I think they do the spy thing.
Okay.
And I don't know. I want to say... Okay, and I guess this is namesake time. This is wild speculation time. There's just something in my gut that thinks, and I don't know who or why, but I think it's someone they know or have some kind of tie to peripherally that they'll find out they have common connection with. Like they work for the gentleman, or not necessarily, but just throwing out things out there. Cobalt Soul. It could be Bo's Master.
It's not Bo's Master, but I have a feeling it's going to be someone connected with Cobalt Soul.
One thought I had was, okay, monstrous races are more prevalent here. What if it's Kree? And I go to her, the Tabaxi, the Blood Cleric, and we keep being told Molly's story isn't over.
Kree is too close to the gentleman.
Okay.
He needs her to collect all of his samples and all his material ties.
What if it's someone else from their party? Molly and Kree's party. That could be the peripheral connection.
Maybe. I think it has to be either. Okay, Druid, Ranger, Wizard, or Arcane Trickster are my top 4 class archetypes that this spy is going to be.
Okay.
Just because I think Animal Messenger is the spell being used to transmit these messages. And the other, without using magic, it's possible that these creatures, the City of Beasts, would know, hey, that's not normal behavior.
Yeah.
For that animal to be moving like that.
Yeah.
So that's why that's where I'm going with that.
Okay.
The demons. Do they take that? Because part of me says, yeah, they're going to go for the big payday. But I think of the jobs, that one is going to take the longest.
Yeah.
But that also is the one that has the potential favor. But if they think they're going to be able to use that favor to get Yeza back, they're not going to give up their alchemist who's been working with Dunamis.
Right.
And has knowledge of how to distill it basically from other stuff.
Yeah. Speaking of other stuff, and I don't know what they're going to do with that. I think the reason I think they'll go for that is because of the favor.
Okay. So not the goal.
Not. I think the favor is a bigger deal because I think they're going on the assumption that if it won't free him, it'll allow them free passage to where they don't have to worry about the Empire kids.
Okay.
Which, although that could still be considered, the Bright Lady betraying, giving favor to the Empire, if that gets known.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the basically the dodecahedron.
Yeah.
So Jester and her bleeding heart, bless her, so from the beginning, so sympathetic for the Kryn,
And I think the players might fall into that line of thinking because Laura is usually on top of things, but I think she's dead wrong.
How long are they keeping the dodecahedron?
To the end.
Do they pull on her heartstrings and she wants to give it up?
Okay, if it becomes known to the Kryn that they have it, they will be tempted.
Or even if they just talk about it more and they learn more about it, and I mean, this is now a holy symbol, and she's all about letting people worship who they want. And she was already, from the beginning concerned about their babies. Not that that has anything to actually do with you know what I mean? But like, I can see her hearing more stories about it and how important it is, and she's like, I think we should give this back, guys.
I can see her doing that. It will not be given back if Caleb has anything to say about it.
True.
Especially when Matt reveals that Caleb could use that to go back and change his past.
Yeah.
Because I think that's where that thread's going.
Oh, yeah.
And it will be an interesting needle for him to thread, because time travel in your D&D game...
time travel, period.
Yeah. But especially in your D&D game, where you, the author, do not have absolute control over what happens.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff can happen that gets weird.
Yeah.
But Matt's already laying the groundwork for that in his narration, even of the battles. Because when they have to change something, or they did their math wrong or whatever, or they realized, I didn't actually have disadvantage, so it was this number. Matt has been saying, well, in that alternate reality, in that alternate timeline.
Yeah.
So he's already sort of been working it in. So I think he's thinking about that.
Yeah.
And that's why I say Caleb getting the opportunity to say, this object will help you go back and save your parents. And that's why I say Caleb's not going to give it up.
Yeah.
Which will be the first Caleb Jester conflict.
Yeah.
So yeah. Last couple minutes. Umavi and Consecuted.
Mm-hmm.
Umavi, because while I was searching for Lux, I also searched Umavi. Swahili.
Okay.
For powerful one.
Okay. I like it.
So, I'm wondering if we're going to get Baba Yetu in the music mix, for one.
Okay.
For all you Civilization fans. Baba Yetu is for those of you who aren't, Baba Yetu is the theme song for Civilization 2. And it's the Lord's Prayer in Swahili.
Okay.
So yeah. But Consecuted.
Right. Which we talked about a little bit just before we started.
Sam and Liam both were confused by the word.
Yes.
I'm like, that's not a word.
These are the people you want running D&D Beyond.
But it could be a derivative of a word.
Yes.
Either of the words that it could be a derivative of. One is about following action. So this causes this.
Yep.
The other one is an imposition of something.
Yes. Imposition of either a consequence or a reward.
Yeah. So...
And honestly, I think it's a little of both.
So do I.
And I think it's also, the way it's worded, consecuted, it's taking those two words, combining them, but also giving it the flavor of consecrated, because I believe it's a religious term.
Yeah.
I know that the Bright Lady, they thought it was just the Empress, but I think it's the religious leader of the Luxon, because we're dealing with all these light words, Aurora, Lux.
Which is an interesting dichotomy, again, that Matt's playing with the Drow, sunlight sensitivity, and everywhere they go, they have to have the darkness going, but they worship this god of light.
Right.
So I'm interested to see if they can peel back and find out who created the Luxon.
Yeah.
Like, what god is it a child of?
Yeah.
Even though they say that it is the oldest god. So we've had some.
Well, and it could be because they were worshipped as gods after the Divine Gate. It could be the oldest of those, so it could be the first of those three created.
Okay, I hadn't thought of that, but yes.
So
that's all of our time for this week.
Yes, we're gonna go watch the twins, Laura and Liam, on Talks.
We will see you guys next week.